just to take one additional step, and I think, Rabbi Lustig, you touched on this a little bit, add to this the rights of a woman who adopts a child or who becomes a stepmother. Are there aspects of that either Islam or Judaism talk about? How is that addressed?
Well, I think that comes under the concept of kibud, the honoring of father and mother, and whoever fulfills that role in many respects. And there is a concept that you're aware of. I know Rabbi Shankman and I know Imam Magid is aware. Well, within Judaism, we have something called shalom bayit, peace of the home. And really, that is paramount because our tradition says that if you want to have peace in the world, peace in your community, first you have to have peace in your own home. And the reality is we should strive to have those good relationships in terms of, I think in the case of adoption and other elements, it's a blessing when people reach out and take on these responsibilities. It's a blessing on both sides. And so we try to nurture that blessing in many ways. We also know that familial relationships in the Bible early on, we know that all of our biblical characters are presented to us with the fragility of the things that we can do both good and bad in a relationship. Although Moses grows up with his mother giving him protection and putting him in the basket in the Nile, and he goes into Pharaoh's palace, and he's raised by Pharaoh's daughter. And in a sense, there's two things that happen. He respects where he comes from and gratitude for what he was given, but at the same time, he never forgets the origins of who he is. And so we've also spent many times, it's important with adopted children to be careful about giving them both their Jewish identity, but also nurturing and recognizing any cultural or identity that comes along with them, because heritage and passing on the heritage is a very important element in the health of a family and the health of a child. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Imam Magid, do you want to add anything to that?
I agree with the story of Moses and growing up in the household of Pharaoh. From Islamic perspective, that we believe that the mother, the wife of Pharaoh, the one who have taken care of him, she's the one who protected him, and therefore the issue of how can a person grow up in a house where the woman in the house is stepmother and his mother is still alive. There's two scenarios here. One, the biological mother is alive. Other scenario, the biological mother is not alive. In the case where the biological mother is still alive, the stepmother, she get the respect because she have taken care of him, but the stepmother has to also to do her effort, make her maximum effort to not to disconnect that child from the biological mother. Not also the father should not try to replace the biological mother with the stepmother. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, when the mother is not there, and here there's responsibility of the stepmother to step in and to try to provide for that child a care and the love that he needs. But it's amazing that how the Prophet, peace be upon Muhammad, recognized his stepmother, or the mother have taken care of him. His mother passed away, and there's a lady named Fatima bint Asad, took care of him. And when she passed away, when she was dying, he sat next to her and he looked at her and he said, you were my mother after my mother passed away. I knew that for days that you have not eaten what you need to eat so I can be fed. You let go for your own need so I can be clothed. And then when they want to bury her, the Islamic burial and Judaism burial, almost the similarity there. They want to put her on the ground. He said to them, wait. He went into her grave, laid down, and prayed in her grave. Then he came out and said, now we can put her, have her rest in peace, to honor that woman have taken care of him when he was an orphan, when he was in need.
Thank you so much, Imam Magid and Rabbi Lustig. And, adding on to that, in terms of even women being given the opportunity to adopt a child, there's so much stigma around that, where people are telling them, well, you're not lawful for the child, especially if it's a boy. And they make all these excuses in terms of why a woman cannot adopt a child if let's say that she and her husband cannot have children, and they make it extremely difficult for them. Can you just touch upon that quickly, Imam Magid and Rabbi Lustig, of like how you would address people who are in that situation?
I will let Judaism go first.
Rabbi Lustig?
Can you just repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So in a lot of the cultures, you see a lot of people, at least we've seen it within our community, where women and who are married or not married want to adopt a child because they can't have kids.
Sure.
And the culture and the people around them are having, they're giving them a hard time, saying, well, you can't because that child is not lawful for you. There's a whole, steps that they have to take to make it legitimate. How do you address that? Or have you had that kind of issue within your community?
Not so much. I believe in our community, and there are many people that embrace the idea of the first commandment in the Bible is to be fruitful and multiply. There are women who have, for a variety of reasons, who may not have found the appropriate spouse or whatever, who still want to share and continue the lineage of their beauty of what they received as a child and as a family. And so we encourage and try to support those people in every form or fashion. And I think that it is in our community, it's embraced with the type of love and respect, and we try to be supportive of those families, because it's an incredible challenge, and that goes on both genders. We have men that have adopted children and women that have adopted children. We have people that are later in life, and we know in the cultures in Washington, D.C., prevalently, we have many people in the District of Columbia who are raised by their grandparents, and that, the real angels are when that the majority of people talk about how their grandmother was the one who stepped in and raised them. So we try to be as supportive as possible as we can, and it's not stigmatized in in this manner.
Okay, I was muted. It is very important, I think, that to encourage community actually to adopt children and take care of children. And those who are misinterpreting texts of the relationship between the children being adopted and their parents being adopted parents, they misunderstanding the text. I think that it's very important that Islam says you have to let them know the lineage. When you adopt a child, you should have to let them know where they come from, so that you have them not to live a life that where they misunderstanding their identity or where they come from. Therefore, it's a responsibility of the parents who adopt those children to explain to them their lineage and their heritage. That's one aspect. The second aspect of this is that in Islam, a woman who take care of orphan get reward by God Almighty, to the extent that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, when he was walking to the door of paradise, he said, have seen a woman about to reach a door before him. And he asked God Almighty, who was this woman? He said, this is a woman have taken care of orphans. Therefore, it's very important for us to be very supportive in our community and to provide a loving and caring environment in our own community, and to welcome those children to our community.